In most of the world, $25,000 doesn't buy you much. A used car, a year of rent in a mid-sized American city, maybe a down payment on a condo if you're lucky. But in a landlocked country wedged between Brazil, Argentina, and Bolivia, a country that most Americans couldn't find on a map if their retirement depended on it, $25,000 buys you a house. Not a shack, not a ruin. A proper house with land, walls, a roof, and enough space to actually live in. The country is Paraguay. And before you scroll past, consider this. Paraguay's cost of living is roughly 65% lower than the United States. Its territorial tax system means your Social Security, your pension, your 401k withdrawals are taxed at exactly 0% locally. Permanent residency takes as little as 60 to 90 days, and property ownership is open to foreigners on the same legal terms as citizens. No special permits, no restrictions. You buy it, it's yours. Now, if you're seriously considering Uruguay, I put together something called the Uruguay Retirement Blueprint. It covers the full residency process, real cost of living by city, healthcare, taxes, property, buying checklists, and the expensive mistakes nobody warns you about. Literally, everything you need to know. The link is below this video. Alright, let's keep going. So, what does $25,000 actually get you in Paraguay? Let's start in the interior. In the departments surrounding Asunción, towns like Luque, San Lorenzo, Lambaré, and Capiata, you'll find small houses on their own lots for $20,000 to $35,000. These aren't luxury properties. They're simple concrete and brick homes, typically 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen, a covered patio, and a yard. Many come with fruit trees already planted, mango, citrus, avocado, growing in soil so fertile it almost doesn't need attention. The climate is subtropical. Winters are mild, summers are warm, and the growing season never really stops. For a retiring couple who sold their American home and arrived with cash, this price range buys outright ownership with no mortgage, no monthly payment, and no landlord. Move a little further from the capital and the prices drop again. In smaller cities like Villarrica, Caguazu, or the German-influenced colonies of the Chaco, properties with 2 to 5 acres of land sell for $15,000 to $30,000. Country houses with room for a garden, livestock, and genuine privacy. For Americans used to paying $1,800 a month just to rent a 1-bedroom apartment, the math is almost disorienting. Now move to Encarnacion, the city Paraguayans call the Pearl of the South. It sits on the Paraná River, directly across from Posadas, Argentina, and over the past decade, it has undergone a transformation that catches most visitors off guard. A modern waterfront boardwalk stretches along the river. Sandy Riviera-style beaches line the coast where families and retirees spend afternoons under palm trees. Restaurants serve freshwater surubi fish pulled from the Paraná that morning. The city hosts a carnival every February that rivals anything in Brazil. A comfortable apartment in Encarnacion runs $350 to $550 per month to rent. Buying a 2-bedroom apartment in a good building starts around $45,000 to $70,000. Houses in residential neighborhoods outside the center start lower, often in the $25,000 to $50,000 range. A growing number of Argentine and Brazilian expats have already settled here, drawn by the same cost advantage that is now pulling Americans south. And then there's San Bernardino, a lakeside town about an hour east of the capital that has become a weekend retreat for wealthy Paraguayans and a quiet haven for expats who want water views without coastal prices. Houses near the lake start around $40,000 to $80,000. The town has restaurants, shops, a relaxed rhythm, and a community of foreigners who chose stillness over spectacle. Then there's Asuncion itself, a capital city of roughly 3.5 million people in its metro area, where the price gap with any comparable American city is staggering. A modern 2-bedroom apartment in Villa Mora or Carmelitas, the neighborhoods where most expats settle, runs $80,000 to $150,000 to buy. Rent for the same apartment, $400 to $700 per month. A private doctor visit costs $20 to $40. A full meal at a local restaurant with grilled meat, mandioca, fresh juice, and dessert runs $5 to $8 per person. Paraguay produces some of the finest beef in South America, and the asado culture here is not a tourist attraction, but a way of life. Monthly groceries for a couple, buying fresh produce, meat, and dairy at neighborhood markets, $200 to $300. Private health insurance through providers like Asismed or Medica Paraguaya costs $80 to $150 per month per person, with coverage that includes hospitalization, specialist visits, and prescription medications at prices 50 to 70% below what Americans pay at home. Here's what a comfortable monthly budget looks like for a couple in Asuncion. Rent or mortgage equivalent, $500 to $700. If you bought outright, this line is zero. Groceries and dining out, $300 to $500. Healthcare, $160 to $300. Utilities including electricity, water, internet, and cell phones, $120 to $180. Transportation and entertainment, $150 to $250. Total, $1,230 to $1,930 per month. The average American couple collecting Social Security receives approximately $2,800 to $3,200 per month. In Paraguay, that covers everything and builds savings every single month. In the smaller cities, a couple can live comfortably on $1,200 to $1,500 and still eat well, see doctors, and enjoy a social life. Now let's talk about what makes Paraguay structurally different from the retirement destinations that get all the attention. Paraguay operates under Law 6380, a territorial tax system. This means only income generated inside Paraguay is taxable. Your U.S. pension, your Social Security, your investment dividends, your rental income from American property, none of it is taxed by Paraguay. Not reduced, not deferred. Zero. Paraguay also has no inheritance tax, no wealth tax on foreign assets, and property tax rates that hover around 0.5 to 1% of the fiscal value, which itself is typically 30 to 60% below actual market value. On a $25,000 house, you might pay $50 to $100 per year in property tax. Per year. The residency process is where Paraguay separates itself from virtually every competitor. Under the current framework, you need a valid passport, an apostilled FBI background check, a birth certificate, a health certificate, and a deposit of roughly $5,500 in a Paraguayan bank account. No minimum age requirement. No mandatory days in country per year after approval. Processing time runs 60 to 90 days in most cases. After 3 years of permanent residency, you are eligible to apply for Paraguayan citizenship, which comes with a passport providing visa-free access to over 140 countries, including the entire European Union. For comparison, Uruguay requires 5 years, Italy requires 7, Switzerland requires 10. Foreigners buying property in Paraguay face almost no restrictions. You can purchase homes, apartments, commercial buildings, and most rural land directly in your own name. The one exception is a border zone rule applying to nationals of neighboring countries within 50 kilometers of international borders, a restriction that doesn't affect Americans, Europeans, or most other foreign buyers. There is no national MLS system. Listings are fragmented across local agencies, Facebook groups, WhatsApp networks, and a handful of online platforms. This means deals exist that never appear on English-language real estate sites. Most experienced expats recommend renting for 6 to 12 months before buying, learning the neighborhoods, understanding which streets flood in the rainy season, and finding a reliable independent lawyer to run title searches before committing a single dollar. One detail that surprises most Americans: Paraguay generates virtually all of its electricity from renewable sources, primarily the Itaipu Dam, one of the largest hydroelectric facilities on Earth, shared with Brazil. The country produces so much clean energy that it exports the surplus. Electricity is cheap, the grid in urban areas is reliable, and power outages are uncommon in the capital and major cities. Paraguay is not a polished product. The infrastructure outside Asuncion is still developing. English is not widely spoken. The bureaucracy moves at its own speed and rarely in the direction of urgency. The public healthcare system has real limitations that push most expats toward private coverage. There is no Whole Foods, no Target, no familiar American retail infrastructure. These are real trade-offs, and anyone pretending otherwise is selling something. But the numbers don't lie. A country where $25,000 buys a house, where your retirement income is tax-free, where permanent residency takes weeks instead of years, and where a couple can live comfortably on $1,500 a month. That combination doesn't exist anywhere else in the Western Hemisphere. The retirees who are already there know it. They're not posting about it on social media. They're not writing blogs. They're living quietly in houses they own outright, eating well, seeing doctors for $20, and watching their savings grow every month instead of shrink. The question is whether you'll find out before everyone else does. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you consider buying property in Paraguay? And which appeals to you more? The capital city convenience of Asuncion, the river beach lifestyle of Encarnacion, or a country property with land and space in the interior?